This is Brett Premack, the jazz video guy. When I talk about saving jazz, America's homegrown art form, some people ask, what is jazz? A little over a century since its inception, jazz is many things to many people. Sadly, the word jazz has some negative meaning as well. In the early days, when jazz was played in New Orleans brothels by black men, it was easy for small-minded people to dismiss.
Strangest taste around is the excitement generated by the musical noise called jazz. This strange music has been accused of everything, including the present decay in morality, the bad weather, and the desire of the women for votes.
Miles Davis didn't like the word jazz. In the 60s, he was at the forefront of jazz fusion, a pioneer in the use of electric instruments and funky rhythms. His critics cried, "Miles isn't a jazz musician anymore." Alto saxophonist Gary Bartz played with Miles in the early 70s, and today it's Mr. Bartz who doesn't want his music tagged. Gary, who's finishing up a John Coltrane tribute for release this year, recently spoke with me about Miles and how he joined the group that included pianist Keith Jarrett.
He came in one night, I was working with McCoy, he came in the Slugs, and I didn't see him or anything, but they said, Miles Davis is here, and we were on stage, so when I came off, I looked for him and he was gone, but the following week he called me, to do the gig. And I thought it was a friend of mine. Well, I thought it was Jack, because we used to, tease each other with his voice. Gary, what are you doing? So he's calling me, asking me to join the band, and I'm saying, who is this? Is this you, Jack? And doing that kind of, so he made me realize it was him. Yeah, he got a little intense. Well, I always liked Miles. I don't think there's anything he's done that I didn't like. So certain musicians you trust. I trusted him. And I trusted that even if I didn't understand it or hear it, I trust him enough to know that I need to explore this. And so that's what I did. He would handpick his band. He used to go out and listen to everybody, and he would hear. And if he'd heard something he liked, and sometimes it might not work out, but if he heard it, that's how he used to do. And I think he handpicked that band because everybody in that band could have been leaders and did become leaders, and some already were leaders. And that's how all of his other bands were. I mean, with Train and Ray Garland, Philly Joe, Wayne and Herbie. He picks band leaders. Yeah. So it's not just by chance. Michael came and Michael fit right in, because he brought the blues. I mean, Miles. I've heard him say, they said, well, what do you call, what are you doing musically? He said, I'm just tooting the blues. And that's how he looked at it. We're blues players. We're not that J word, we're blues players. I was in, that was such an organic band, man. I mean, we would start out, you know, and sometimes it would take a while because we played long shows. We would play, sometimes our concerts were 2 hours and longer, you know. But we'd start out, and he loved that, man. Because he was, I mean, his trumpet playing, he was so strong, he was healthy, wasn't eating meat, wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking. He was going to the gym, he was just wanted to play the trumpet, you know, so that's what we did. You know, we were all basically healthy in that band. That was one of his healthiest bands, I would say. I think of him as Miles Davis, the artist, rather than the musician, because he's more than, you know, he's more than just the music too. You know, any great artist is more than their art, you know. You know, when I started studying, you know, I was amazed, you know, I would see sculptures by Picasso, I see you know, see all kinds of things. Same thing with most great artists. And as the music changed, you know, personnel changed. Because I guess in a way, and I'm just thinking of this now, in a way he was like Duke Ellington in that, you know, Duke wrote music for the people that were in the band. And he liked to keep the band. The difference is Miles's bands changed more. But each time the band changed, music was different. Same purpose.
This is Brett Premack, the Jazz Video Guy.